Achievement Pathway that we're going to introduce starting this fall. And it's nothing different that we're doing on the court with the kids in regards to what they're learning in terms of their development with their forehand, their athletic skills, their serve. But we're laying it out and organizing it in a way that is easier for the parent to understand and easier for the child to understand. So during summer camp, we've been implementing this for our red and orange groups and kind of testing it out and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And we've gotten great feedback from the kids, that they've become so much more motivated to, complete their stripes and to work on their forehand because they know that's the only part left they need to get the next level. So within each program of red, we have certain levels that they have to accomplish. Orange, there's certain levels, and green ball, there's certain levels. And as they keep moving up, it gets a little bit more difficult, and they have to take these certain challenge cards. So in this presentation, we're going to go over all of those things. If at any point you have any questions, please stop me and ask me if you don't understand something. But yeah, let's get started. So the Centercourt Player Achievement Pathway. So right here is our chart where we show all the classes we offer for players starting out to play tennis at age 3 all the way up to our highest level players over at Florham Park and Morristown. On this pathway, we guide you and we let you know when your child should start competing, playing in our box leagues, team tennis, USTA tournaments, and we explain ROGY. So ROGY just stands for red, orange, green, yellow, which are all the different balls that we use and the progressions that we move the kids through this program. So there where you see everything laid out in red, that's our red ball program. In orange, our orange ball program, green ball, and then yellow, that's where the kids are playing with the regular tennis ball. So the Centercourt Player Achievement Pathway. How does the CPAP work? The CPAP is our earned advancement philosophy here at Centercourt, where a player knows exactly what they need to do to earn the next level. The pathway is laid out through a variety of technical competencies, athletic skills, knowledge tests, and character traits that players must accomplish before achieving the next step. All of these skills are tracked very carefully through a combination of stripes created by the Centercourt team and challenge cards that have been provided by Grip's Challenge. Here's an example of what the stripes are. So this is in our red ball program. This is the first stripe a kid gets. And we've laid it out here in a way where, you as a parent and as a student, you'll be able to go online and look at this and see what is my child learning in their ground strokes when they have their red stripe. So they're introduced to holding the racket and making contact with the ball. What are they learning in regards to their serve? So here, they're introduced to tossing, throwing, and controlling the racket. They haven't actually started yet tossing and trying to hit the ball all at once. We're trying to build that foundation for them to be more successful when they do start to toss and hit the ball. And then for athletic skills, they're starting to learn their ABCs, agility, balance, and coordination. Now the white stripe below, what you see there, this is our most important stripe, and they have to earn this with every other color stripe they get. They always have to complete their white stripe. The white stripe is for sportsmanship, attitude, focus, and effort. Safe. So how do the stripes work? A player will start off with their white stripe. The white stripe is the most important stripe, stands for sportsmanship, attitude, focus, and effort. As the players show these character trait qualities, we start to outline a box on their white stripe. When they fill in their box, they earn the red stripe and their first grip. With each new color stripe a player earns, they must also complete a new white stripe every time to make sure they are completing safe. Here's an example of one of the players' rackets. On the right-hand side, you see that the player is on their orange stripe, and they've completed the orange stripe. So they've met everything they need to do with their forehand, their backhand, their serve, and their athletic skills. So if this player is a righty, the arrow to the right stands for the forehand, the arrow to the left is for their backhand, the arrow up is for their serves and volleys, and the arrow down is for their athletic skills. And on the left-hand side, that's the white stripe. So this player here knows that all I need to do is complete my white stripe. And that's completed by listening to the coach, trying your best, picking up the balls, being sportsman-like with your teammates and with the coaches. So whenever they come to class, having them just line up, hugging their rackets is a way for them to earn their white stripe. Saying thank you at the end of the class. And then so this player knows
For me to be able to go to my green stripe, I need to just fill in that white box. And so, of course, a player coming once a week compared to a player coming 3 times a week is not going to finish their white stripe as fast. It doesn't mean that they're not listening as well or trying as hard. It's just we don't see them as often as the other player that is coming 3 times a week. What is the GRIPS challenge? So 5 steps to understanding the GRIPS challenge. You can print and use your drills. So for each grip, there are certain drills the player can practice to prepare for the next level. Hit the website. Players can access their account online through the Centercourt page and check the latest progress they've made in the pathway. Take your knowledge test. Players can take practice tests to study for the real test and then take the test online to move 1 step closer to the next level. Take your encore challenge. So once the player has completed their knowledge test and stripes, they can take their encore challenge card to get their next grip and stripe. Practice test pass. If the player does not pass their challenge card, it's okay. They can go back, practice on what they need to work on, and try again. During the lessons, we're integrating testing into the lesson plan. So on weeks 7 and 10, for example, in our red ball program, one of our stations, instead of maybe doing volleys 1 week, that'll be our challenge station where the kid can come in that week and they can take their challenge card on whatever stripe they're working on with the other kids in their group as well. We're also going to, once a month, have test days, early Saturday mornings around 7 or 8, and Saturday nights around 6 o'clock. So like before our programming starts and after our programming ends, when if a kid has completed their stripes and they're ready to take the challenge card, they can come in at that time, schedule the time, and one of me, Jose, or one of the testers will be there to do the encore challenge card for them. Here's a screenshot of the website when the player logs in. So the multicolored stripes that you see up there, that's all going to be labeled in numbers. So it's going to start out at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on our pathway, that's where it says ROGY 1, ROGY 2, all the way up to ROGY 11 for green ball. A player here, they're on 4. So they're on ROGY 4, and right there they can print encore drills that they can practice at home or practice with their private coach if they're taking private lessons. They can print out their knowledge tests. Knowledge tests don't start for this level yet. They start at level 5. So that's in our Centercourt 2 class. They can review their encore challenge, their encore tests. So every encore challenge has some physical skills and hitting skills that the child needs to accomplish. And they can schedule the encore test, that's just going to let you know the dates that month when we're doing a test day on Saturday or Sunday. Here's an example of a knowledge test. So this is the first one that a player would get in Centercourt 2, and they're very basic. We're just making sure the player's familiar with the court and they know what's expected of them when they're coming to class. So these are true or false questions that say, I will look my teacher in the eyes when he or she talks. True. It is okay to swing my racket around others. False. I should ask my teacher before leaving the court. True. A ball that lands on the line is in. I should always warm up my body before tennis. True, true. If I split step, I'll be more balanced and a better athlete on the tennis court. And then yes or no. Player showed the baseline. Player showed the single sideline. Player explained what recovering is. Player showed the deuce side service box. Player showed the outside service box. And all of these things, we during our red ball programs, we have a warm up where it's Simon Says on the tennis court, and we may do the warm up that day and say Simon Says go to the baseline. Simon Says go to the service box. Simon Says toe walks to the net. Simon Says high knees to the single sideline. So that's where they're picking up and learning these things during class. So when they go to take the knowledge test, they're familiar with these. Like, oh yes, I learned this, last week in class. Whenever they take the test, they bring it to the coach, and we'll go over it with them. Whether they got 2 wrong or 3 wrong, we're not going to fail them for that. We're just going to make sure they understand, they know the right answer to the question. Here's an example of a challenge card. This is in our Centercourt 2. And then for the physical skills, one is jog the court lines. Trap a ball, roll to the left side with the left foot, trap a ball, roll to the right side with the right foot. So that's them just tracking the ball with the inside part of their foot and knowing how to get behind the ball. Touch left elbow to right knee and right elbow to left knee. It's just a little complex coordination for them to do, staying a little balanced. And then the hitting skills here, they have to hit 2 out of 5 forehands over the net, 2 out of 5 backhands over the net, and they have to hit 2 out of 5 volleys over the net. And the last one, they have to do a self-bump rally 3 times in a row. So that's just them hitting the ball up to themselves, letting it bounce, hitting it up, letting it bounce 3 times. And then again, as they're moving up to the next level, the next challenge card is going to be a little bit harder, and it's going to progress that way. Here's 2 levels later. So the physical skills, there's a little bit more, and there's a little more hitting skills. The player has to do 10 jumping jacks, sprint to the baseline, net and back 3 times. This is on a red ball court too, so this isn't on a full-size court where they're running from the traditional baseline up to the net. They're doing this on a quarter-size court where the court is 36 feet long, so they're only running 18 feet. They have to do some overhand throws from the service line, and they have to do an underhand toss with their non-dominant hand. Now they're tracking the ball and trying to make contact with the ball, kicking it forward when they're kick rolling ball forward with the left foot, and then same with the right foot. They have to do a 2-handed catch of a ball while shuffling. And now they have to do that same self-bump rally, but 10 times in a row. They have to do forehands in the court, 6 out of 8, backhands in the court, 6 out of 8, backhand volleys in the court, 4 out of 8, and then overhand serves into the ad service box, 3 out of 6. So here the player now has their next stripe. They have their green stripe, and every time they get a new colored stripe, so they get the new green stripe, they start over on their white stripe. So a player knows, I always have to earn that white stripe for sportsmanship, attitude, focus, and effort. We've outlined it to the kids, and we let the parents know if a player is completing their technical stripe and they're doing everything they need to do on their forehand, their backhand, their serve, and if you see week after week they're not getting anything on their white stripe, it's they're not listening, or there's something that we need to tell them over and over and over again, and we'll always inform the parents of that if that's happening during class. If a player is, let's say, halfway through their box and they threw their racket across, or they slammed their racket down, and it was the 3rd time we've told them, and they've had their warnings beforehand, they know that they'll get their white stripe reset. So they'll just get a new blank white stripe. The parents will be notified, this happened in class today. Timmy has to start over on his white stripe. And until he does so, he cannot take the next challenge card. And then here you see, this is 2 levels later from the red stripe, what they're working on now with their ground strokes, their volley, their serve, and their athletic skills. So with their ground strokes, they're learning how to move their feet and hit the ball. They're introduced to rally. The volley, they're learning proper footwork for the volley. Their serve, they're starting to do an abbreviated serve, and the tossing is more consistent. So now they are connecting the toss with the racket and trying to get it over the net. The players were finding their complex coordination skills, such as shuffling and catching the ball and tossing it underhand at the same time. And again, the white stripe always needs to be completed. We have this chart upstairs. This is all in red ball right here, where a player starts out with the red and orange stripe. Generally, that's our Centercourt 1 class. The green and yellow stripe, that's our Centercourt 2 class. The blue and black stripe, that's our red ball edge class, which is our red ball advanced class. So if you're just seeing the difference of where a player starts out in regards to the ground strokes, you see that the player is introduced to holding the racket, making contact with the ball, and all the way down at the black stripe, player has mastered technique with their split step and topspin consistently. And all of these competencies and tangibles that we have for the kids come from kids that we've developed already in our red ball program and in our orange ball programs and green ball programs, and we've seen multiple kids get to this certain level before we move them up to orange ball. So, it's things within the past years that we've tested kids with these. We've, had some kids that were playing multiple times a week, and they learned all of these skills, on the court. This is for orange ball. So there's 3 stripes in orange ball. There's purple, brown, and black. The black one is always the master level, you can say, where it's kind of like your black belt in karate. So in orange ball there's a black stripe, and in green ball there's a black stripe. Here the player at the beginning is learning to hit from a 60-foot baseline. From ready position they have active footwork, recovery, and split step. And then on the other end of at the very bottom of it, for our Orange Ball Academy, a player knows what to do for neutral, defensive, and offensive shots, and a player knows how to open up the court. This is an Orange Ball challenge card. Their physical skills, they have to jog the court lines, a two-handed catch of a lob with no bounce. Here they run to the right, kick the ball with the right foot, run to the left, kick the ball with the left foot. This is the same as what was happening in red ball. Now they're just moving out wider and getting pushed out a little further. They have to do an overhand throw cross court from the deuce service box from the baseline. Hitting skills, they have to do, it says forehand rally anywhere in the court. This challenge card has been updated. It's a forehand rally cross court, and then a backhand rally cross court, 14 in a row, 14 in a row. And then they have to do a forehand inside out rally cross court, 12 in a row. And then they have to do the return of serve, forehand return serve, backhand return of serve, and an overhand serve to the deuce side 7 out of 10 times. Thank you so much for coming.